This is a Gear Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Mr. Perez, and you're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, brought to you exclusively on Gear Network. Listen in. Let's go.
It's a good way to start off the podcast, Perez. Let's go. It's another week, Better Live Than Dead podcast,
That's
26th episode.
That's right, 26, baby.
It's going to be a busy week for us here at the Better Live Than Dead podcast on the Gear Radio Network. We've got this podcast today, and then sometime tomorrow or the next day, we should have a Super Bowl preview up.
That'll be fun.
With a blogger from the Patriots, or a blogger who writes about the Patriots, a blogger who writes about the Seahawks.
Nice.
And then Perez and myself with a little bit of a special halftime segment, if you will.
That's right.
We're going to have some fun with this thing, because I know last time I did the World Series preview without you.
Yeah, man. I don't know what's up with that.
I can't leave you out this time.
Appreciate that.
Well, I got to the point now where, you know, you're around so much, you're so involved in the podcast, obviously, that it just it feels wrong now. Like when I interviewed a guy a couple days ago, the Patriots guy.
Right.
And I'm like, shouldn't Perez be here?
Yeah, man, it's all good. No problem.
Well, I know with the interviews it is what it is, just get them done and get them on the podcast, but I think everybody in podcast world, and you as well, Perez. I found some good stuff for our halftime segment, and we've got some good music to play.
Very cool
as well.
Very cool.
Because if you are living under a rock at this point, you know, breaking news: Katy Perry is doing the halftime show. So,
and, you know, I'm just going to throw this out there.
Okay,
I'm just going to throw this out there.
Throw it out there.
If there's ever a time for wardrobe malfunction to happen, this would be the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think,
just saying.
I would have to agree with you on that one, Perez. But
please make that happen.
Looking at my paper here, I have a lot of news to talk about.
Awesome.
So I guess there's no better time than now.
News is good.
No better time than now to say it's time to send it over to the news you need to know.
That's right.
Before we get started, Perez pointed something out to me. We have yet to introduce ourselves in the podcast, and last week I know I mentioned it to you, Perez. Someone new might be listening.
Right, someone new might be listening.
I'm Ryan Wolf.
And I am Mr. Perez.
We are Better Live Than Dead, and it is time for the news you need to know. Starting off in the National Football League, some great news comes across the wire late in the week. Ex-Buffalo Bills quarterback Jim Kelly is still cancer-free.
That's a good thing.
Very, very, very big news.
Congratulations, Jim.
Not only the Kelly family, but the entire area of Buffalo.
Yes.
Moving on to head coaching vacancies being filled and other jobs being filled as well.
A lot of activity going on with that.
I'll tell you what, I'm not sure what the news you need to know segment's going to be after all the coaches get hired in the National Football League, because it occupies a lot of time. The Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak and ex-backup quarterback John Elway is now the Broncos' new head football coach.
Yes.
Browns offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan is the Falcons' offensive coordinator, expected to be a part of a package deal with Seattle defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. The Oakland Raiders named Bill Musgrave their new offensive coordinator.
The Raiders.
The Oakland Raiders. I always do that in the podcast. I love it. It might sound ridiculous. I don't care.
It's all right, man.
I try to do my Chris Berman impression. Ex-49ers defensive coordinator Vic Fangio pulls a Mark Henry last-minute I'm-coming-home swerve and goes to the Bears to be their defensive coordinator. Was slated to become the Washington Redskins defensive coordinator, and then overnight changed his mind and signed with the Bears. Ex-Raiders head coach Dennis Allen joins the Saints defensive staff as they didn't say what he was going to do, but there's a lot of word around that hiring that if Rob Ryan doesn't work out, Dennis Allen likely will be the next defensive coordinator of the I almost said San Francisco for some reason. New Orleans Saints. It probably won't happen this year.
Right.
But it's something that 2016 it may happen. And now I should say we need to change the tune a bit here on the podcast. So turn down the music and we'll turn on a different song for a second. Ex-Buffalo Bills head coach Doug Marrone, once said to be one of the hottest free agent head coaches out there, slated to get a phenomenal job, dude, out of quitting the Buffalo Bills gig. He is now the offensive line coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He also got an assistant head coaching gig / assistant offensive coaching gig. So apparently he's going to be the offensive line coach, the assistant head coach, and I think an assistant offensive coordinator.
He's wearing many different hats over there.
Yeah, well,
for the Jaguars.
Well, he went from a year away from having a paid-for-life gig, essentially, because you get a contract extension, you'll have probably $30 million, something like that, get paid real nice. And he bet on himself, and apparently he's losing, because now you got to work your way up. You coach a good offensive line.
Right.
Then you have to coach a good offense. Then maybe you'll get a head coaching gig.
Hey, if he hadn't bombed the Jets interview, he could be there.
He could be, but apparently he's just he's not as well regarded around the league as everyone says he was. So
right.
With that being said, we'll turn it back to the news you need to know. I wanted to bash Doug Marrone so bad, but I'm just over it. The Bills the Bills turned Doug Marrone into Rex Ryan. We are the winners when it comes to that.
Especially if you like feet.
Ex-Bears head coach Mark Trestman is the new Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator. Chargers linebacker coach Joe Barry is the new Redskins defensive coordinator, Washington's defensive coordinator. You okay over there?
I'm sorry. You know what? I said especially if you like feet. But then it reminded me of something that we talked about on Get Ready America's podcast.
Oh, the Vajangle.
The
Vajangle, yes.
No. The Vajangle.
The Vajangle, I'm sorry. No, because I was thinking, I told John during the week, I said a new movie by Quentin Tarantino, Vajango. Yeah. Vajango Unchained.
Right. Because John kept calling it the Vajango. And I was like, no, dude, it's the Vajangle.
That's why I was saying
ankle with a foot.
I looked the picture up at work. I was horrified.
Did you see the picture, though, of the person who put it in the high heels and painted the toenails?
I did not see that.
Oh, Dawn showed us that picture, and we laughed really hard.
That is disturbing.
Oh, it was highly disturbing. The whole thing is disturbing.
Yeah, well, people can be weird, I guess. But I don't even have to guess. I know people are weird.
Oh, yes. Look at us.
Yeah. Ex-Raiders offensive coordinator. You're correct in that one, Perez. Ex-Raiders offensive coordinator Greg Olson is the new offensive coordinator of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, Greg.
Ex-Bills head coach Chan Gailey is the new Jets offensive coordinator. The National Football League announces 11 of the 12 footballs the Patriots are using were underinflated by 2 PSI. The balls must be between 12.5 and 13.5 PSI. We're not going to talk about this now. We'll talk about this next segment. The Raiders quarterback coach John DeFilippo is the new Browns offensive coordinator. The Buffalo Bills fired director of pro personnel Tom Gibbons. His contract was expiring in June 2015. Ex-Browns offensive coordinator Adam Gase is the new Bears offensive coordinator, joining, I just completely went blank on the dude's name, John Fox. Ex-Raiders interim head coach Tony Sperano is the new 49ers tight ends coach, and the now ex-49ers tight end coach Eric Mangini got a promotion, and he is the 49ers defensive coordinator. Now moving over to the UFC now. John Jones post-fight test come back clean following his cocaine test failure pre-fight. So he wasn't on steroids, wasn't on drugs during the fight, after the fight, whatever. So that's good for him.
That is good.
Moving over to Major League Baseball now. I almost turned the page before without doing this. The big news of the week, to start off the week, Max Scherzer signs a 7-year deal with the Washington Nationals.
For stupid money.
Stupid money.
Stupid.
A lot of dumb money. But hey, if they don't trade anybody, their rotation is going to be hard to beat next year.
That's very true.
The Chicago Cubs acquire Dexter Fowler, outfielder from the Houston Astros. Texas acquires starting pitcher Giovanni Gallardo from the Milwaukee Brewers. Ryan Vogelsong re-signs with the San Francisco Giants. Houston signs outfielder Colby Rasmus. Johnny Gomes signs with the Atlanta Braves. Friday, Ichiro Suzuki agreed to a deal with the Miami Marlins to be their 4th outfielder. He's 156 hits away from 3,000 in his major league career. Already has 3,000 if you combine Japan.
Bye, Ichiro.
The New York Yankees third baseman Alex Rodriguez reportedly being mentored by Barry Bonds because
when I think mentor, The first person that comes to mind is Barry Bonds.
How do you deal with a steroid-ridden body? Oh, ask Barry Bonds. And sad news before we move on to next sport. On Friday night, we learned that Cubs Hall of Famer, all-around good guy, one of the most popular guys in baseball, Ernie Banks, passed away.
Rest in peace, Ernie.
Absolutely. As he used to say, let's play two. Moving on to NASCAR now. Veteran driver Jeff Gordon will retire following the 2015 season. Gordon is third all-time in wins with 92, and he has 4 championships, which puts him fourth all-time. It's one of those guys that kind of transcends the sport. If you say Jeff Gordon, you know who you're talking about. It's going to be weird to see without him seeing him race, but it's weird because to replace Jeff Gordon, actually the NASCAR fans may recognize the name, or even just sports fans may recognize the name, but Bill Elliott, his kid, Chase Elliott, is probably going to take over for Jeff Gordon, pass the torch off. Now moving on to NBA, the NBA, I should say. First off, the Trailblazers, the Portland Trailblazers, lose power forward LaMarcus Aldridge 6 to 8 weeks with a torn ligament in his left thumb.
Ouch.
That's probably going to hurt them.
A little bit.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Speaking of really good, Friday night, Golden State Warriors guard Klay Thompson set an NBA record with 37 points scored in the third quarter.
Wow.
He made 9 3-pointers, an NBA record. He was 13 for 13 from the field in the quarter, tying a record. Per @TeamZiller on Twitter, he averaged 2.64 points per shot. And at one point in time, the game was tied at 60. Then Klay Thompson went off, and Golden State won over Sacramento 126 to 101.
That's crazy.
He's on fire.
He was on fire.
Yeah, that was... I can't even...
He was unconscious, as they say.
Watching Twitter last night, and I saw that happen, and I'm like, wait a second, what's going on? He scored 52 points in the game, mind you, as well.
You know, I was busy last night, so I didn't get to pay attention to much sports.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's crazy, though.
And last but certainly not least, Kobe Bryant has a torn rotator cuff, tear in his rotator cuff, same thing. He's likely out for the season, but there's a decision coming up Monday, but the outlook is grim according to Yahoo Sports, people they've spoken to. Now, Perez, have we seen the last of the Black Mamba in the NBA?
I would say he should retire, but he's not going to because the Lakers are set to pay him $24 million next year.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's funny because I asked you earlier in the week, and
I said,
you said yes.
I said yes.
So I'm glad I waited to ask you again because I was just going to assume you said yes, but I wanted to ask you again.
The Lakers owe him $24 million next year. He's going to play.
Well, plus he's not going to. Kobe won't go out like that.
No, he won't. I mean, he's not going to go out with a good team anyway.
But like Sports Nation said in a tweet, Instagram, whatever the hell you call it.
Right.
It was the picture of the Dos Equis guys dressed up like Father Time, and it says, I don't always lose. Or I don't always win. But wait, yes I do. Yes. Father Time is undefeated, my friends.
That's right. That's
Kobe Bryant's old. He's falling apart, and his body is just... They're to the point now where they were managing his minutes, and they were pulling him out of games. He's playing a lot less minutes. He threw a dunk down and screwed his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Good job, Kobe.
Congratulations, Kobe. Maybe we'll see you.
Let's go back to the story before that. How many points did that dude score?
37 in a quarter.
And he went 9 for 9 from threes?
13 for 13.
From the field?
All combined, 13 for 13. So he was 9 for 9 from 3. He was 4 for 4 from the field goals, and then 2 for 2 at the free throw line.
I was still a John thing.
He's heating up. He's on fire.
You know what's funny is when you listen back to the podcast, that might just be in the podcast. Little post-production magic.
He's on fire.
Yeah, he was. That's
just dumb.
Shocked. Like when the guy's hot with the rock, you let him take the shots, but holy crap.
Man, that's just dumb.
That is. I can't wait to see the highlights on ESPN or Fox Sports 1 because
that's crazy.
Good
for that dude.
Maybe someone will put in a burning basketball.
That'd be awesome.
Like NBA Jam.
They do that every once in a while at Sports Center.
Or maybe they'll do it Fox Sports. I like Fox Sports 1.
You know, I've watched Fox Sports run a couple of times. I'm starting to like them too.
I like Dan O'Toole and Jay Onright. They're the Canadian Sports Center hosts that they brought up from
Hi,
Canada. Hi, Canada. They're good guys. Thanks for letting us have them because they're hilarious.
That's funny.
And they kind of opened the door for ESPN to be a little more edgy because ESPN's kind of been a robot the past couple years.
That's a true story.
But Fox Sports 1 doesn't care.
No.
And that's awesome.
It is.
And if they were on basic cable, they would have a lot more
probably
viewers.
Yes.
That's for sure. With that being said, this has been the news you need to know. Now you know it, so you don't need to know it anymore.
Right. Now you're informed.
That being said,
Carry on.
we're going to send it to commercial break. When we come back, we may only have one segment this week because it's a big segment. We've got a lot to talk about. In the National Football League, we know who's playing in the Super Bowl, and we've got a little bit of a controversy. Also, stupid Dallas Cowboys fan is stupid. More on the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
And Storytime with Perez.
And stories. Oh, yeah, you're right. Getting ahead of myself. When we get back, Storytime with Perez. Then we'll talk football. I don't know what I'm doing here. Apparently, it's my first day on the job. We'll be right back. While you're listening to this podcast, make sure you follow us on social media. You can follow me at WolfSHC on Twitter. You can also follow Mr. Perez at MRLGPerez. Make sure to like the podcast on Facebook. That's Facebook.com/BLTD podcast. And make sure to follow Gear Network on Twitter at GERE Network. This free and independent sportscast is made possible when you shop the Gear Network store through Amazon. Visit GearNetwork.com and click on the Amazon banner to shop through Amazon's thousands of products at great prices delivered right to your front door. Again, that's GearNetwork.com and click the Amazon banner at the top.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is.
It's time for story time with Mr. Perez.
Hit the bumper.
Gather round, kids. It's story time with Mr. Perez.
Now, obviously, as the bumper tells you, it's story time with Mr. Perez. But before we get too involved in that, who you got to say hello to this week?
This week, I'm saying hello to Charlotte McKinney. If you don't know who Charlotte McKinney is, I would recommend looking her up.
Well, if you don't know who she is, you'll find out soon because she is the next Carl's Jr. Girl, and she'll be
you know what?
plastered all over your television on Super Bowl Sunday.
I tell you what, if they had Carl's Jr.'s in my area, I would eat there all the time.
They certainly do seem to find the prettiest women out there.
You know what? They really do. They have some of their commercials.
Their talent scouts are phenomenal.
They have good eyes.
Very good eyes.
Yes. I mean, we can't speak to the talent of the individuals that they choose.
No, they just
but we can speak to the talent that they choose.
Just see the face
right.
And they see the assets and they say, okay,
yes.
I think you're good for the gig.
Exactly. And so far, they've been right.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if that's their new spokesperson, God bless America.
Oh, absolutely.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Thank you, Carl's Jr.
Yes.
And Hardee's.
Yes. Thank you. I've never had their food before, but thank you.
You know what? I've had their food. Not bad. I've had Hardee's food. I've never had Carl's Jr.
And next time I see a Carl's Jr., I'm going.
Looks there's pretty much the same thing.
Probably a beautiful woman there.
Well, maybe.
I hope so.
You would hope. You never know. So story time with Perez. You know, now that we're talking about that, maybe I'll switch my story because I had a good story set to go. I think maybe I'll just stick with it.
Stick with it.
All right. So, as you know, I recently bought a brand new car. About 2.5 weeks ago, and I drive quite a bit for my job. Like when I'm done here, I'll be headed to Buffalo. And on my way to work this week, I was actually heading out to Buffalo. And I'm cruising along the thruway, got my XM on, jamming to some tunes, probably either Caliente, which is a salsa channel, or Hair Nation, which is a 80s and 90s metal station.
That's my station right there.
And I looked down and I noticed my tire pressure light is on. So I'm like, what? That's weird. Let me pull over. Fortunately, there was a rest stop pretty close, so I pull over to the rest stop. And I jump out of my car to see which tire looks like it's low, because obviously one shouldn't be low because it's a brand new car.
Yeah.
The back driver's side tire is literally hissing. Like, you could hear the air escaping from it. So I was like, wow, that sucks. So instead of popping my trunk and grabbing the spare, I think to myself, it's pretty freaking cold outside, and I have this 5-year unlimited Hyundai roadside assistance. Let me give them a call. So I do. And then they're like, tow truck will be there about an hour and a half. It's cool. Go inside, grab some food, read some of my book, go back out to my car because it's about an hour and a half. I get a call saying, I get an automated call saying that it's going to be another half hour. So at this point, I'm sitting there for 2 hours. I should have just did it myself. So then they call me back, and they're like, you're on the thruway. And I was like, yeah, I told you that when I first called you. I'm on the thruway. Well, unfortunately, the thruway is a restricted roadway, so normal tow trucking companies can't go onto the thruway and tow your car. The thruway has companies that they deal with by themselves who will come tow your car. They charge you, and then you get a reimbursement from your roadside assistance if you have roadside assistance. Pretty stupid, but it is what it is. So now I'm sitting 2.5 hours in. I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to change my own tire. Don't want to, but whatever. So meanwhile, I'm about to jump out of my car. This guy comes walking over. He's like, hey, you got a flat tire? Yeah, no kidding. Thank you. Appreciate that, though. He's like, you want some help changing it? I was like, sure. Nice guy. Like, he just helped change my tire. He's going to help change. Well, so we pop the trunk, take the stuff out of my trunk because I got work stuff in my trunk. I open the floor mat to get to my spare tire, and air in the wheel well where the spare tire should be is not a spare tire. There's no spare tire. So I stand there for a couple seconds, and you ever had something happen to you that you were not really expecting, and it takes a second to process, but then when it does finally process, you're livid?
Yeah, you sit there and your brain starts to tingle, and you're like, this isn't happening right now.
Yes. So that was me. So I called my wife. I'm like, baby, I hate to pull you out of work, but there's no spare tire in my car. So she's like, all right, I'll leave. I'll bring you a spare tire. Because, she just got a brand new car, too. Same model. She calls me back 5 minutes. Spare tire either. So I call the guy that sold me the car. And he's like, oh, you don't have a spare tire? That's weird. So he calls me back a couple minutes later, and he goes, oh, yeah, our cars don't come with spare tires. And I was like, well, that would have been something that would have been nice to know.
That's a nice little tip, little tip
Right.
you left out there.
Yeah, something I'd like to know before I purchase a car. So, turns out, it actually comes with an inflation kit.
Like Fix-A-Flat?
Yes.
Okay.
They have a high-tech Fix-A-Flat and an air pump. You connect the Fix-A-Flat to the air pump and your tire, and the air pump pumps the stuff into your tire, and it inflates your tire. Which, if I had known when I first got the flat, I'd have been on my way in 20 minutes. We would have been good. Mm-hmm. I wanted to call in Hyundai roadside assistance. But at the same token, I would have liked to known that that's what it was.
Absolutely.
So because I sat on the side of the road. Well, I sat at the rest stop, pissed off for 3 hours, and then I got even more pissed off when there was no spare tire. I was ready to hurt the person who sold me the car. So I take it the next day to get the actual tire patched. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about they say it's for weight saving, so better gas mileage. What's the donut weigh? 5 pounds?
Yeah.
It's probably not really making that much of a difference. But the night before, I had been investigating my car because I want to get some snow tires. And I had told the salesperson when I got in the car, like, I don't think this is what I wanted. Like, sure, it's a black on black with a sunroof, but I wanted a sports trim. And it turns out the car I got was not the car I wanted. I had wanted a higher model than the car I got.
Yeah.
But I got 2 visual packages on my car that came with most of the options of the car that I did want. Mm-hmm. The main difference is the seats. The seats in the car I want are like 6-way, power adjustable. They sink low. That's how I like to sit. My seat's kind of high. Not a fan of the seating position. So I was a little pissed off. Like, you sold me the wrong car. I told you sold me the wrong car. And you were like, no, this is the car you wanted. So I get to the dealership that I was at. And I'm not going to mention it by name. And I walk over to the sales manager that's working. And I'm like, hey, listen, can I make a couple of suggestions real quick right off the bat while my car's getting fixed? He's like, yeah, what's that? I was like, when you sell a new car, you should tell the customer that it doesn't come with a spare tire, because I was a little shocked yesterday when I opened my trunk and there was no spare tire because I had a flat tire. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's a good suggestion. And I was like, no, dude, I'm serious. Like, you should really tell your customers that. He's like, yeah, you're right. We should. So I was like, I get the feeling you don't really care. So I was like, also, this was the model I asked for. This was the model I got. Not real happy with that. And I had told the guy that I thought it was the wrong car. Turns out it is. He was like, oh, yeah, that's too bad. So I was like, you know what, dude? Like, I could tell you don't really give 2 flying fig Newtons. He was like, no, I'll take those suggestions to heart. And I was like, I can tell you're not. Like, I'm looking dead at you, bro. I can read a guy. You don't give a flying fig Newton. So I turn around, and the general manager is in his office.
Yeah. And
so I say to the sales manager, you know what? I'm going to go talk with Mr. So-and-so. I know his name. I'm just not going to say it. I said, I'm going to have a conversation with your general manager.
With the big boss.
Yeah. And that's when he got real interested. Well, hold on a second. Hold on. Like, what? Maybe there's something I could do for you. Like, no, I'm serious. I'll take your... No, dude, too late.
You blew it.
You had your opportunity to at least apologize.
Yeah. Don't be a dick about it.
Right. And you did it, and you were a D. So, I'm going to go talk with the big guy over there. And so, I walk over, and I have a conversation with the general manager. And he actually was very apologetic. He comped me a spare tire kit. So now I actually have a spare tire. It was like a $250 kit that he just comped for me. I had already purchased the new high-tech Fix-A-Flat stuff because I needed it. I wasn't expecting anyone to comp me a spare tire kit, but he did. And so they actually might put me in the proper model. Most of my paperwork is already done, so it's going to be difficult, but it's only $1,000 difference between the car I got and the car I wanted.
And if $1,000 makes you happy, I don't think you'll care.
You throw it on my current loan, it's $13 a month in the 60 months or whatever I'm doing. Whoop-de-doo. What's $13 a month? It's a meal at McDonald's I can skip.
Exactly.
So we'll see if that happens. I doubt it's going to, because the paperwork's already been done.
Yeah.
But the general manager of the dealership was actually very apologetic, very sympathetic. He was actually, when I left from him, I wasn't as pissed off as I had been the day before.
That's good.
And most of that day. So
it means the dude did his job.
He did his job properly. I was there again this morning because my starter, 2.5-week-old car, my starter, when it starts up, sounds like it's about to die. Like there's like a crunching sound in my starter.
That's weird.
Yes. The problem is it does it when you start in the morning, and if I sit for a long time, it'll do it again. But once the car warms up, it doesn't do it. So I was there again this morning, and he walked over and talked to me, but there wasn't anything they could do about it because it wouldn't do it while they were sitting there. Yeah. I have it on video. Like, I videotaped my car on my phone when I first started up, so they've heard the sound, so they know what's going on, but because they can't duplicate it, they're not just going to throw parts at the car.
Exactly.
Which is, you know it's probably the starter, but at the same token, like I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, they're just gonna wait till you're in Buffalo and it dies, and they have to tow you back.
Oh, and then there'll be issues. But so the general manager of this place, he did a good job. Like I was happy I did deal with him, because I was pissed, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have been beyond pissed.
Like, you didn't give me a spare tire. Like, really? But you know what? The fix-a-flat stuff they use is very high-tech. It doesn't stick. Like, it sticks to go up the hole, and it lasts for like 900 miles. But it doesn't create all this goop in your tire like most fix-a-flat does. Yeah. So they can literally just wipe it out, patch the tire, you're good to go. But just tell the people.
I'm sure if you knew that you didn't have a spare tire, you would have got one.
Yeah, probably.
Especially knowing that you're out driving all the time.
Right. Yeah, probably. I mean, this stuff worked pretty well. The guy, the service department manager that I dealt with, who was patching it, brought me what I ran over, and it looked like a railroad spike. Like, it was ridiculous. I don't know where it came from. I don't know. Yeah, like, it was big. It looked like almost like a nail you used to do barns.
Jesus.
Yeah. He was like, I'm shocked that stuff actually patched the hole. That's how big this thing was.
That's madness.
Yeah. And the stuff worked. I mean, it patched the hole. It was awesome. So if you buy a new car out there,
tip,
check your tire well, your spare tire well, to see if you have a spare tire or if you have this fix-a-flat stuff with a pump. Because I'll be honest with you, the fix-a-flat stuff with the pump was actually pretty easy. You connect it, you turn the pump on, and you go. You know what I'm saying? But it still would have been nice to know, because I was ready to hurt someone.
Yeah, because you didn't have to have a 3-hour lunch and get pissed and everything.
Right. I could have
pop done.
I wouldn't have to work today. I could have just finished my shift on Tuesday.
Oh, man.
So check that stuff.
Yeah, who wants to go to Buffalo on a Saturday?
Well, it's not too bad. I'll hit a couple stores, hit the tender box, have a cigar.
Never mind then. I guess it's a good thing that it happened.
It's not a big deal.
It's a nice relaxing Saturday for Perez.
After work, yes.
With that being said, Storytime with Perez has now concluded.
Check your cars, people.
Check your cars. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. The whitest guy you know is me.
You're pretty Caucasoid.
Thank you.
No
I've never heard that before. That's a first.
You're pretty Caucasoid, so.
When we get back from this commercial break, we're going to talk some football. A lot of football. Not some football. We're going to talk a lot of football. So, I hope you're ready. Hope you're ready for it. We're going to talk about inflating balls when we get back. Better Live Than Dead podcast.
John Cimino here, a.k.a. JC Money, inviting you all of you listeners, to join us on the Gear Radio Network once a week for Get Ready America, where JC and DC, the executive producer, my co-host Don Cimino, will be talking news, sports, whatever comes to our mind. It's a variety show that goes all over the place. It's awesome. You should check it out on Gear Network every week. Hey, podcast listeners. The January song of the month is picked by the Queen of Gear, Dawn Cimino, is I'm Not the Only One by Sam Smith off of his album, The Lonely Hour, and you can purchase that via our partnership with Amazon. Check this out. The song itself is only $1.99, but take my word for it, there's not a bad song on this album, and I went ahead and purchased the entire album, MP3, for just $6.99. That's right, $6.99. You can find this and other great songs, apps, and merchandise all through the Gear Network's Amazon page with no mumbo-jumbo, no additional charges, and no headaches. It's the easiest way to support this show that you're listening to, baby. Bookmark, save, and share the link, gearnetwork.com/Amazon.
It's time to talk about the National Football League playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
We are back here live in the Wolf Den Studios. Better Live Than Dead podcast. Myself, Mr. Perez, sitting across from me.
What's up, peoples?
It's time to talk the National Football League, and what a weekend we had last week.
Crazy this.
First off, we're going to talk the Seattle Seahawks' improbable comeback They
was nuts.
They overcame a 19-7 deficit to win 28-22 in overtime.
Yeah, man. Listen, I was watching the game Sunday night. I ball on Sunday nights. Mm-hmm. So with like 7.5 minutes left in the game, I said to my wife, I'm going to go take a deuce and a shower, get dressed, and let's go to bowling. This game is finished. I come out the bathroom, and I look at the TV, and I was like, what the heck happened? Like, what did I miss?
I was watching the game with my sister's fiance, and he's not a big sports guy. I'm trying to work him into a sports guy. And he was sitting here. I said to him, the game, I was like, 5 minutes left. The game's over.
Right.
Game is done. And then they get a touchdown.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, business just picked up a little.
Then they got the onside
Then they get
kick.
the onside kick, and I started yelling at the TV like, what the F is going on? And he's like, dude, what is happening? And I said to him, I said, pay attention.
Yes.
This does not happen every day.
No.
Now, they had 2 late touchdowns with less than 3 minutes to play. Seattle's the first team in the NFC to appear in back-to-back Super Bowls since the Packers did it in Super Bowls 31 and 32 and 97 and 98.
Yep.
Russell Wilson, the first NFL quarterback to start the Super Bowl in 2 of his first 3 seasons to begin a career.
Craziness. Good for him.
The crazy stat, speaking of craziness, crazy stat out of the game, Marshawn Lynch, according to Pro Football Focus, was credited with 15 broken tackles.
Yeah, he was a beast in that game.
I'll tell you what,
Once he started going, like they couldn't stop him.
Once it comes to a big game for Lynch, he just next level.
He was fined $10,000 for grabbing his crotch.
I was gonna mention that $20,000. I've seen
20,000.
yesterday. He grabbed his dick and
fined him $20,000.
Yeah,
maybe he had an itch.
Maybe he just likes to grab himself.
Yo, listen, baseball players are lucky they don't get fined every time they grab their crotch.
Well, the only one time something did happen was with Papelbon when he grabbed his crotch at the umpire and shook it, and they were like, "Well, you're suspended for 7 games or something like that."
Right.
Coming out of the game, Richard Sherman, cornerback, sprained his elbow. Pretty horrific looking injury. He got his elbow stuck between a helmet and bent the wrong way. But he says he'll be good to play. And Earl Thomas dislocated his shoulder as well. He may need off-season surgery, but I doubt.
He said he's going to play.
I doubt he's going to miss this game.
Yeah, no, he said he's going to play. You know, it's funny because Sherman got that interception on the opening drive of the Packers, and I was like, oh, this game's about to be over.
Yeah.
Quickly, and then the Seahawks did nothing.
One of the things I wonder why they didn't do what they didn't do is, first off, when they got that interception, why did the guy go down? Because he could have ran it back.
Right.
Also, Richard Sherman had one arm, and you didn't throw the ball on him.
Right.
Like, I understand it's Richard Sherman. He already burned you once in the game, but
right.
Dude has one arm and is in severe pain. Like, he made a tackle and actually had to be helped off the field. That's how much pain he was in.
Right.
And you don't throw the ball on him.
No.
Like, Green Bay did not play that game to win. They played that. They didn't play to win. They kind of played to
maintain.
They
had a pretty big lead.
Yeah, they were maintaining that lead in that game.
I'll be honest with you. I did a sports fan type of thing. Because after I got out of the shower, as I was getting dressed, I was watching Seattle had just taken the lead, and then the Packers drove, got the field goal to tie it. And I said to my wife, let's go.
Well, how crazy, first off, before you continue, I'm sorry, but how crazy and improbable was that 2-point conversion?
Right. Yeah, it was nuts. Dude, that was nuts. That ball hung in the air for like 2,000 years.
He turned and just threw the ball, and I'm like, okay, whatever, they don't get it. And then all of a sudden, dude catches it and walks right in, and I'm like, we're seeing something special with that team.
That was crazy. So my wife was like, you don't want to stay and watch overtime? I was like, no. I said, because I'm going to be honest with you, and this is going to sound funny, but when I was watching the game, Seahawks did nothing. When I stopped watching the game, Seahawks take the lead. I watched the game, the Packers score.
That's superstition for you
right there. It is. So I was like, let's go. And I'm not even, I like the Seahawks, but my favorite team is the Cowboys. So we leave, and I'm not watching the game, but I turn it on the NFL channel on XM, and the Seahawks win the game.
I was freaking out, man.
It was craziness. And
I'm excited too because you and I both, Perez, were hoping for a Seahawks in a Super Bowl, and the other team, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I'll tell you what, the Super Bowl is going to be phenomenal. We'll talk about that in a minute. But before we get there, we got to talk about the other team, New England Patriots.
The Patriots.
They crushed the Colts 45-7. LeGarrette Blount 30 carries, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tom Brady 6 conference titles, the most ever. Patriots are looking for their first Super Bowl win since February 6th, 2005, in Super Bowl 39 against the Eagles.
Yes.
The big story of the week, Deflategate or Ballghazi, depending on who you ask. Does it have any effect on the game, or do you think the Patriots would have killed them anyways?
Yes. They did kill him. I mean,
the thing about it is that
each team gets 24 balls.
Yes.
Okay. The refs signed off of the first 12. Those were taken out to the field. They take them out to the field almost immediately.
We still don't know what exactly happened
in those 2 hours. We don't know.
They're still determining the chain of custody,
right?
Because Brady said when he saw the balls, they were legal.
Yeah.
And then he gave them to someone who took them to the refs.
But so it was discovered at halftime. Now at halftime, the score was 17-7.
Yeah.
So it was discovered at halftime. They take the balls off the field. They go to the backup balls. They're inspected real quick. They're brought out to the field. So now they have regulation balls.
28 straight points.
28-0. 28 straight points. The Colts had no answer for them.
I like what Dwayne Allen said. He said they could have been playing with soap on the footballs and they still would have waxed us.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
the big deal about it is because it's the Patriots.
Right, and they've been caught cheating before.
They were caught cheating once. They were proven to be cheating once with Spygate.
Spygate.
They were caught videotaping, but
this was I don't think the weight of the balls had any.
Every quarterback and sorry to cut you off, but every quarterback in the National Football League likes his football a specific way.
Brad Johnson
of the Buccaneers
paid a dude $7,500 to sneak into the facilities,
scuff up the balls
before the Super Bowl.
Because that was before they were allowed. Because the problem was that they were getting balls out of the box, that were hard as a rock.
Yes. Well, not only that, but Brad Johnson also has small hands.
Yeah.
In the championship game, he had to wear a glove, which he didn't like to do because the balls were so cold. He had a hard time gripping them. And so he paid a dude $7,500 to go in and scuff the balls.
He has since backed off of that, but
because people were like, "What?
Yeah,
what?
Wait,
Super Bowl ring?
You cheated?"
Yeah,
but that they changed that rule because the quarterbacks complained that it was affecting the offenses of certain teams,
right?
And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think what ends up happening, they lose a draft pick, and then it just
probably a draft pick and a fine.
Yeah,
people are calling for these people to be suspended.
That's stupid
or banned. Come on. It got caught at halftime, and then they went on a better score.
And the thing is, they thought that they picked it up before halftime, and they didn't even care to change
But here's
it out.
the thing that trips me out. The Ravens supposedly tipped the Colts off to look for underinflated balls.
But the Ravens said nothing after their game and didn't say anything until this whole thing blew up.
Right. So, really,
just like the Colts apparently, the first time they met this season were kind of geeked out about inflated footballs or deflated footballs. Why didn't you say anything?
Right. So, I don't know. This whole thing is sketchy, and I'm not a Patriots fan.
Neither am I.
But the whole thing's kind of sketchy.
It seems like if it was anybody else, the quarterback would come out and say, because, if Brady came out yesterday and said, so what, I like the balls underinflated, they got a little more deflated than I would have liked.
Well, he likes it at the league minimum at 12.5.
Yeah.
He has said that.
Because it allows him to grip the ball, but guys like Aaron Rodgers has giant hands.
Yes.
So for a guy with giant hands, he overinflates the ball to 14 PSI. But obviously it's the league's responsibility to bump it down to 13.5. But still, he likes it at the high end.
Yeah.
So every quarterback is different.
And you know what? I can't remember the name of the guy, but last week a former quarterback of the Washington Redskins went to the facilities, had them blow up a couple of balls, one at 13.5, one at 10, and he said that you can't tell. Unless you're actually squeezing the seams, he said there's very little way to tell.
The thing that stuck out to me was that they said the amount of weight difference in the ball from 12.5 to whatever the ball was, 11 or whatever, the guy in sports science said it's roughly equivalent to 2 sheets of paper.
Right.
So if you can pick up a football and you know the precise difference, you're insane.
Yeah. So these Colts players who were like, oh yeah, the balls felt lighter. It felt different like 2 sheets of paper? Come on. Really?
Shut up.
Yeah. Stop being sore losers.
Perez, like you said, like you always say, don't be a bloody idiot.
Right, exactly.
Because people, if you're making a big deal out of this, I mean...
Right.
I hear that if you're making a big deal about this, I hear the dollar store sells tinfoil for real cheap. You can go make yourself a nice hat.
Exactly. I did like Andrew Luck, though, this week. Was like, well, yeah, we felt kind of deflated after the game. Oh.
He didn't mean to do that, but the fact that happened was
pretty funny.
Priceless.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I think he did mean it because his reaction as soon as he said it.
Well, because he was doing the prototypical quarterback.
Right.
You know, you answer the question, you're like, whatever. You know, it is what it is. We don't really care because we're over it. But
he's like, we felt deflated after the game.
Now, looking ahead before we wrap this bad boy up.
2 sheets of paper.
2 sheets of paper.
Come on.
2 sheets of paper.
That's like my fat butt losing like 2 pounds.
Yeah, you're like,
guess who's not going to tell? Me.
Yeah. Someone's like, oh, you look great. It's like, I don't feel great.
Right.
Looking ahead, Pete Carroll faces his ex-team, coached the New England Patriots from 97 to 99. It's the 4th time this has ever happened in the Super Bowl. Something that someone pointed out to me. The only 2 guys that Robert Kraft has ever hired, Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick.
Because when he bought the team, Parcells was still coaching, so he didn't hire Parcells. Arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, or the greatest quarterback ever, depending who you ask, faces one of the league's top young guns.
Right.
Brady looks to join Montana and Bradshaw with 4 rings, while Russell Wilson would join Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger as the second winningest active quarterback with 2 rings.
Right.
Also, Russell Wilson passes Tom Brady and will become the youngest quarterback to start 2 Super Bowls.
Yes.
This coming up Sunday. Now, I don't want a prediction right now. We're going to talk more about that next week.
Okay.
Really, the next 2 podcasts are going to be very football centric.
Right.
So nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I mean, I've already spoken to, at the time of this podcast, a little break in the fourth wall, I've already spoken to a Patriots guy and hear the excitement from him. Later today, we'll be speaking to a Seahawks guy, and I can't wait to get his insight.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
So that's always cool to me. Getting like I can get excited for the game, you can get excited for the game, but actually talking to someone and saying,
right,
like
who's affiliated with the team.
This is your gig. Like you write about these guys 365 days a year. Tell me how you feel.
Right,
and it's just great.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be fun. Listen for that.
We're going to move on now to one more thing before we send it to commercial break. Crazy Dallas Cowboys fan is crazy. He this man, I didn't write the name down because he's too dumb to
well, he's also an inmate.
Well, he's too dumb to get.
So he should have just got a serial number.
He's too dumb to. I might do that actually. He's too dumb to get the proper recognition on the Better Live Than Dead podcast, but he's attempting to sue the National Football League for $88 billion after the league ruled Des Bryant's NFC title game catch as an incomplete catch. Yes. Perez, what do you think about this?
As a Cowboys fan, I want my piece of that $88 billion. I'm just saying, that'd be nice to have. Unless there's 88 billion Cowboys fans, we all get $1. I think it's ridiculous. I think this dude's an idiot. I think I don't know why they're letting inmates come forward with frivolous lawsuits. It really makes no bloody sense.
He's probably just bored.
Well, he's in jail. I'm sure there's not a lot.
Correctional Facility in Cannon County, Colorado.
I'm sure there's not a lot to do with Fremont Correctional Facility in Colorado.
I'm trying to find his number, but I can't find his number.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not going to release that information, but
I want to write him a letter, tell him he's dumb.
Well, I don't understand why they're like, yeah, I want to know who the lawyer was who was like, yeah, I'll draw this up for you. That makes sense.
Well, I don't even think it was because he wrote a letter that had noticed the intent to file suit, and someone just picked it up and was like, you got to be kidding me.
That's awesome. 88 bill.
I mean, look at the guy.
He doesn't look normal.
Oh, we got some quotes from it. Hold on. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of Des Bryant, the entire 2014-2015 offense, including the cheerleaders, every Dallas Cowboy fan, and every person in or from the sovereign Republic of Texas. Quote, excuse me, quote, the Cowboys offense would have perfectly created an Autobahn for DeMarco Murray to drive into the end zone for the score and victory, said inmate wrote in the lawsuit.
All right. That's possible. I mean, they were on the half-yard line. So that's a very real possibility.
Well, anyways, the actual amount of money in the lawsuit, $88 billion, $987,654,321.88. If you're keeping score at home, that's 88-987-654-321.88.
I wonder what the 88 says for.
Des Bryant's jersey number.
Yeah.
Someone needs a pen pal. Because
saying,
this dude is bored.
That's No, so I wonder what the 88 cents is for. Like,
the 88 cents is for the jersey number.
Number?
Yeah, that's
I thought that's what the 88 billion was for.
The 88 billion is for 88 billion and 88 cents for the jersey number.
Yeah, thanks, prison guy.
Someone send this guy a damn letter. Give him a pen pal. Give him something.
A care package.
Exactly. Give him something. You know, give him a vajankle.
You really want.
Send him a vajankle. Behalf of a better life than you know what? We should find this guy's number, and we should send a vajankle on behalf of a.
Yeah, I'm not dropping $180 on a vajankle.
Well, I will. We'll crowdfund.
Yes,
Kickstarter. GoFundMe.
Could you imagine that Kickstarter?
Help
Who's trying to buy a sex toy?
You know what? We should start. That's how we'll start a charity. We'll start a vajankle charity where we help out less fortunate people and inmates.
Getting a vajankle.
Vajankle.
No doubt.
We're helping people out.
That'd probably cut down a lot of some of the atrocities that happen in prisons.
Very true.
A lot less sore butts. Sorry, Yeah, this guy probably needs a vajankle. That poor idiot guy.
We should just run a vajankle commercial. We should get some chick.
I think if you really want to piss him off as a Cowboys fan, you guys should send them care packages of Pittsburgh Steelers memorabilia.
Or Aaron Rodgers pictures.
Or Aaron Rodgers pictures or Redskin stuff. Take our main rivals and just send them stuff.
We should have like a sexy chick make a vajankle commercial, like a sexy voice chick. Doesn't have to be a sexy looking, but the sexy voice. Make a vajankle commercial. Hide it somewhere in a podcast and see if John actually listens.
That'd be hilarious. That would be hilarious. This segment brought to you by the vajankle.
Yeah, instead of like on the Super Bowl preview, we have a new thing. Joining us now on the FanDuel hotline. Maybe next time I'll say joining me now live on the vajankle hotline. Better Live Than Dead podcast brought to you by Vajankle.
Man, this sports podcast is taking a left turn.
Vajankle. When you love feet so much, you want to F the S out of them.
And I think that's why that dude put it in high heels and painted his toenails. Like,
what's weird is you mentioned the vajankle. My sister and her fiance were watching Her last night. And
Wait,
I walked in a room.
Hold on a second. Is that a movie?
Yeah, it's the movie where Jaquan Phoenix falls in love with a computer.
Oh, Her. Yeah, that one.
And sorry, I you say Her and you think of
Well, you were like my fiance and I mean her my sister and her fiance were watching Her. I thought she was like
no, we're watching the movie Her, and I'm that's kind of like it's like a vajankle thing right there. Like that movie's a vajankle thing, you know.
Okay.
Like he has sex with the computer. Like how do you have sex? Do you stick your
like he literally gets it all with a computer?
Apparently, I didn't watch it.
Me neither.
Maybe you stick your D in the USB drive.
Maybe.
I said that's the case. I got to give me some action, dog.
You need a girl, bro.
They were dying laughing. I walked out of the room and tip your waitresses and.
Well, yeah, you said she was watching Her. I thought you walked in on her like your sister doing naughty stuff in the mirror while they were watching. I was like, well, that had to be awkward.
No, I didn't.
That had to be real awkward.
I already have one brother who openly liked to have sex with his now wife while I was sleeping on the top bunk because he thought it was funny.
Wait.
Yeah, my brother's a very nice gentleman.
Wait, hold on a second. And she would do it?
They didn't care, yeah.
Wow.
They did not care. I was sleeping. I didn't care.
You didn't wake up?
I did a few times, and I actually I do recall once saying that if they didn't stop, I was going to get naked and come down in the bottom bunk and join them. And
you should have.
They stopped.
Dude, you should have. That would have been hilarious. I was going to say, like, how did you not wake up? Like, that stuff would have woke me up. Or they were, like, banging real quiet.
Probably that, and I sleep like a rock.
Oh, yeah. That feels so good. Yeah.
You know the stuff you say in the podcast will be used against you in
Don't wake up, Ryan.
Future podcast.
Don't wake up, Ryan. Oh, right there, baby.
That being said,
I love you guys.
We're going to commercial break. We'll be back. take it home, close up shop here on the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
Do you enjoy listening to Better Live Than Dead, but you're not always by your laptop to hear it on GearNetwork.com? Not to worry, we've got you covered. Better Live Than Dead and all other Gear Network podcasts can now be heard on iHeartRadio, iTunes, in the Zune Marketplace, on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher Radio, and on TuneIn Radio. So make sure you get one of the aforementioned apps to stay up to date with the latest Gear Network podcasts.
A successful product does not become a successful product on its own. Look at the Gear Radio Network, for example. We're a prime example. We had a lot of help getting here, and we can help you get where you want to go too. Advertising rates are very low to start off here on the Gear Radio Network. Visit us at gearnetwork.com. Click on the contact link to send us an email, and we can work out the details. Again, advertise your product across all of the forums at a low, low rate here on the Gear Radio Network.
Back to the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
This segment is brought to you by the Vajenko Factory.
Yeah, do they have a Vajenko factory out there?
No idea. They have to. They're making it.
We should do research on this.
Have fun
I'm not
with
going to
that.
buy one. I just want to find out, like I saw a video on the internet a couple days ago of the fleshlights.
You've never heard of the flashlight?
I have, but they brought the girl in to the factory. The girl they used to model the fleshlight after.
Yeah,
and a guy apparently, I didn't watch the video. I heard about it though, and the guy apparently walked up to the girl and was like, "I've tried out the product. You have a very nice vagina."
Nice.
I'm like, I'm the king of awkward, and
Right.
that might be too awkward for me to do.
Well, you know they make one that has a dock for a tablet on top of it, so you can watch your porn while you're hitting that fleshlight.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Hey, people got to do what they got to do. I'm not against it. Whatever.
You got to do what you got to do, dog. Seriously.
Yeah, whatever. Do your thing.
I would feel like I was having sex with the tablet if I was doing that. That would be just too weird for me.
Soft silicone with some lube. From what I understand, it's very realistic. From what I've heard.
From what you hear or what you firsthand experience?
From what I've heard.
Okay.
I don't have a flashlight.
I have a flashlight. I don't have a flashlight.
No, I don't have a flashlight. I'm not saying I don't have toys. I'm just saying I don't have a flashlight.
Well, this is the wrong part of the podcast to be talking about that.
Exactly.
We've already got the story time done. But I want to say thank you first off to Canada. Thank you, Canada.
Thank you, Canada.
Tuning into the Better Live Than Dead podcast. Another weird week. Thank you, Vajenko Factory, for giving us fodder for the podcast.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Thanks to the crazy Dallas Cowboy fan inmate who sued the team or sued the NFL for $88 billion. He did. I don't think he sued. He plans to file suit, but no one's going to pick him up.
Hi, Charlotte McKinney.
Hi, Charlotte McKinney. You're a gorgeous woman. What else?
You know what? Like, we're saying hi to Charlotte McKinney, and like, by chance she ever listens to this podcast, she's going to be like, they're talking about Vajenkos and fleshlights, and what's wrong with these people?
We're weird people. We are a weird breed up here in the Western New York area.
And sports.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend ask me, what do you talk about on a podcast? Sports. That's how you hook them. You hook them with the sports.
And stuff.
And then when they get about 25 minutes in, we're talking about people having sex with foot ankles and,
Right.
Hey, whatever.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, brought to you by the Vajenko Factory. I think I know what I'm getting John for Christmas next year. Write it off. Wonder if I can get that as a tax write-off.
Dawn would love that. I don't think that'd go over real well, Ryan. Just throwing that out there.
We'll get the Gear Radio Network logo put on the Vajenko. Oh my God! But that being said, thank you to John. I almost said John.
I know you
John
did.
Dawn. Thanks to John. Thanks to Dawn for providing me with some phenomenal podcasting this week.
Yes.
And you too, Perez.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today, Perez. I know you got to work.
I do. Got to go.
Do an interview later with Seattle guy.
Tell him I said
Seahawks guy. We will discuss that. There will be look out for the Better Live Than Dead Super Bowl preview
Preview
coming up, I believe, on Sunday.
That'll be fun.
Enjoy the week. Thank you to everybody for listening. I didn't want to leave without saying thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody for tuning in today.
Yes, we appreciate it.
On the internet, your phone, tablet, your Vajenko pad, whatever you call it. I don't know. Kids these days.
These days, they're newfangled stuff.
Exactly. With that being said, thank you for tuning in to Better Live Than Dead podcast. I am Ryan Wolf.
I'm Mr. Perez.
We are Better Live Than Dead.
You're not.
Thank you for tuning in. We will see you same time, same place.
Adios.
Next week. Have a good one, my friends.